Since President Trump left office, the Biden DOJ has arrested Peter Navarro, Trump's former White House advisor, and locked up Allen Weisselberg, Trump's former chief financial officer at Trump's real estate company. Micheal Flynn, retired United States Army Lieutenant General who served as Trump's national security advisor, Paul Manafort, Trump's former campaign chairman, Rick Gates, Elliot Broidy, Steve Banon, and the list goes on and on. Most importantly, the government went after you, the American people, who went to the Capitol building on January 6th because you had some issues with that election. Still, some of them are sitting in jail. Even if you brought a coffee at Starbucks and left the area before anything even happened, you would still be charged. Little do Democrats know, Republicans can play the same exact game. If this is the game that Democrats want to play, I say bring it on. It is the Democrats that opened this very Pandora's box, not the Republicans. So let me ask this again. Who is targeting their political opponents? A Biden DOJ that is set to lock up a plethora of different people from the opposite side, or the Trump DOJ who arguably didn't sue people enough? Let that sink in.
Facts over tracks, isn't that spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Digging right in, we have a very, very special announcement from the Daily Wire. Now, I'm going to dig into everything that I talked about, but first, Angel Studios just released, this is not sponsored, Angel Studios just released a new movie which outlines the very important thing that happens and very, very disgusting thing that sadly happens in our society every single year and every single day. This is the trailer of Sound of Hope. Now, this is going to come out on 4th of July weekend. Exactly what the point is right here. Daily Wire just teamed up with Angel Studios. Angel Studios is famously known as the studio company that actually released Sound of Freedom, which is a very, very good film. I wanted to watch it. I watched the trailer. We reacted to Sound of Freedom on the show, and it's a very important film because it outlines the smuggling that happens and the human trafficking that happens abroad. Now, I would hope that they would make something that happens in America domestically, but Sound of Hope is a different movie that goes and tells the story of sexual abuse or abuse in general that happens in American families. And it's very disgusting. Now, this is the movie that a lot of people have been crying about. A lot of people have been getting emotional about because it's so moving. So, without further ado, let's react to Sound of Hope by Angel Studios.
Are you sure these people want us?
I know they do.
You can call me Mama.
It's hard to feel like I'm the only one who sees these things. 70% of the kids in the system are there because of neglect. The other 30% are put through hell. We need your help.
Can you imagine our kids on their own? We can't just look away. The state ain't no family.
Are you sure these people want us?
I know they do.
You can call me Mama. Oh, Lord.
If we can't wrap our arms around the most vulnerable, then what do we have? Noise! And the children can't take the noise anymore.
This is something that we must do.
22 families want to adopt. Whole town wants kids now.
That's about right.
What's happening with Possum Trot could mean a huge change for the system.
We want the ones that nobody else won't.
Who hurt you, baby? I'm not giving up on you. You can't give up on me either. What we gonna do? Everybody's falling apart.
I'm doing the best I can.
The real world hits hard.
I don't want to be here! I can't give him back.
We gotta work on this together. We your people now. And love never gives up.
So this is what's so powerful about this trailer, is that this is based on a true story. This is based on a true story that is in a small town in America that adopted children and made sure that they showed the community exactly what they're doing in taking in these children and making sure that they have a better home. And then it actually influenced the rest of the community that they live in to actually do the same thing. And in this trailer, we just saw that 22 other families just started adopting children because of this family right here. This trailer was actually released 7 days ago, and it already has 1.2 million views, because the trailers that they released are so important, and it's such a good storyline behind it, and it's such a good way of showing exactly what happens in our society. It's disgusting what people go through. I have family members that are part of Child Protective Services. They see things like this happen every single day, and it's disgusting. It's a disgusting reality of our society, that we have to live with these kinds of people that abuse children, that take advantage of children, and take advantage of the most vulnerable. And this is exactly why Angel Studios, and more importantly, both of them combined with the Daily Wire, is doing the great work that most of us are blind to, because we're so focused on politics. We're so focused on, oh, this is exactly what's happening here and here and here, but we're not focusing on our society and the collapse of family and all of the things in between that make up our family structure. A lot of people are born in families, a lot of kids are born in families that they get abused, and it's disgusting. So this trailer is such a moving trailer because of that reason, because of the fact that it outlines that exact thing that we don't really talk about, and we most of the time draw a blind eye towards that very factor. With that being said, it's going to be in theaters on July 4th weekend. I will be watching it on July 4th weekend. I'm going to try to get out there as soon as I possibly can. I don't know if it's going to be released on July 4th, because I will definitely check that out on theaters on July 4th. That would be a huge opening day because of the fact that it is America's Independence Day, and I think that's on a Thursday, so that'll be great. I'm actually going to Nashville for that week, so let's see it in Nashville. With that being said, talking about Joe Biden and the Biden DOJ and just Biden's failures and stuff like that, Biden would never talk about factors like this, and it's disgusting. You know what he will do? Show up to a party and act very stupid. Now embarrass himself and embarrass America again. This is exactly what he did yesterday twice. Joe Biden showed up to a family and he's just looking the most awkward that he's ever looked in his entire life. Now this is exactly what he did here. Watch this. So he's just standing here. The music's going on, and then he's just looking all awkward. We have Kamala Harris and her husband on the right side of him, and then they're all dancing together. They're pointing at each other. They're having a good time. Jill Biden is nowhere to be seen, and then Joe Biden's like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? He's just making a complete mockery of himself in America, and it's disgusting. What is he doing? He's just standing there, all awkward. He's coughing into his, ooh, what are you doing exactly? You're just standing there all awkwardly smiling like a creepy man. What are you smiling at? Like, can you at least, like, move your body around? I know that you're going to get dislocated hips and stuff like that if you really move around. What is the purpose of this? And then also on top of that, we have him again at the same exact day, just wandering off and trying to shake hands with a tree. So this is exactly the clip that we have here. I don't know exactly what happened right before this, but it looks like somebody just got parachuted out of the sky and he just landed. So instead of him clapping and stuff like that, he just wanders off and goes to a tree. But he's just seen like wandering off, and he's just going towards the trees. He doesn't even know what he's doing. And then he just wanders off. One of his aides go up to Joe Biden's like, you need to go this way, guy. Like, this is exactly what we're looking at. And he's trying to go towards the tree to, I don't know, shake their hand or whatever. He does not know what's going on. He's not paying attention to anything that's going on around him. So then he just goes straight up into the woods. Like, where are you going exactly? So again, Joe Biden does not know what he's doing. He's failing as a president. His whole entire staff is failing us, the American people, on every single front that Joe Biden even had an opportunity to screw up. He screwed it up. So with that being said, we also have Prime Minister of New Zealand going and responding to comments on Instagram that he doesn't even know. So Joe Biden would never even do this. This is a very risky move.
Gee, an awful lot of you guys have been commenting oil up on my posts. And I've got to be really honest with you. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. But anyway, now that you're here and we're listening, I want to share some news with you, which is that last week we saw fruit and vegetable prices down 9.3%.
Yeah, okay. So nobody's actually paying attention to what he says after that. He just responded to a comment on Instagram that says oil up. Now, if you do not know what oil up is, it's just people commenting on random people's Instagram reels, because this is, I don't know if you go on Instagram reels, but whoever is supposed to be like good looking, what people do is they say oil up. So you're supposed to put oil on your body, I guess, and then go into the light so you look all good and stuff like that. That's what people want to see, I guess, on Instagram. But they put that on the Prime Minister of New Zealand. And then the Prime Minister of New Zealand responded. Why is he responding to this comment? And then he's just saying, oh yeah, no, well, I'm not going to oil up, guys. I don't know what this means. Why are you responding to it? It's just so weird. I don't know. Nobody's even paying attention to what happens afterwards. And in the comment section, somebody says, this is actually the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and people are commenting oil up, and he's responding. Why? So it's just, people are all confused. They're saying, why are you even responding to oil up? Like, what? So, of course, it's just crazy time that we live in, because if somebody was to respond to Joe Biden and then they would say oil up, which I don't think they would ever say. Joe Biden would never respond to that, and they would say, "Oh, vegetable oil or what kind?" And he would just trip up the stairs. He would slip. He would fall on his back, and then he would throw out his back if somebody was to really say that. So, of course, we can see him in contrast to other prime ministers and government officials abroad. I don't know if this is really a good thing for the New Zealand prime minister, but it's an overall just funny thing that the prime minister would respond to a comment like that. So with that being said, we're going to be digging into the headlines of the week. Digging right in, we actually have a Daily Wire article. We have House Republicans subpoena Biden officials over partisan effort to tilt the 2024 election. Now, this is exactly what I was talking about at the beginning. The House Republicans and the Republicans that are in the Senate can go and do the same exact stuff that the Biden officials are doing to Republicans broadly. So if they're trying to prosecute Republican opponents, then what makes you think that the Republican opponents that they're trying to target, or the party of the politicians that they're trying to target themselves, can't go and prosecute them? The mirror can go right back up at you, and then what you're doing to your opponents will be thrown back at you, and we could just throw the Uno reverse card, and now you will be ending up in jail, and the Republicans will get out of jail. So that's just funny. This, of course, will create an outrage in the Democratic side, because they're saying, well, you're being a tyrant and stuff like that. We just showed you 6 different people that are being prosecuted from the former Trump administration. So why is it that the Republicans are the one that's locking up their political opponents and letting the Democrats walk right over them? No. If the Democrats want this Pandora's box to be opened, then this Pandora's box will be opened. It's just that simple to understand. House Republicans subpoenaed 15 top Biden officials on Thursday over concerns that the administration may be implementing a partisan scheme to benefit Democrats in the 2024 election. House Administration Committee Chairman Brian Steele, Republican from Wisconsin, sent out subpoenas which ask for documentations on plans made in response to the executive order from President Joe Biden. The order called for the heads of federal governments to develop plans to promote voter registration and voter participation. The heads of agencies were told to create strategic plans for how their specific agency would be increasing voting turnout. Elections are partisan, but our election administration should never be partisan, allowing federal employees from the Biden administration to flood election administration sites threatens election integrity and reduces Americans' confidence, Steele said. The executive order is another attempt by the Biden administration to tilt the scales ahead of 2024. I will continue working with working to provide transparency and accountability on the administration's latest scheme, as Congress did not appropriate tax funds for partisan activities, the Wisconsin Republican added. The 15 agencies subpoena included the Commerce Department, the Homeland Security, Defense Department, Justice Department, Education Department, Energy Department, Health and Human Services, Housing and Urban Development, Interior Department, Labor Department, Office of Management and Budget, State Department, Transportation Department, Treasury Department, and Agriculture Department. In this letter, Steele said that the lawmakers were considering passing a legislative repeal to Biden's order and needed to see the plans to inform their decision. To comply with the request, the agencies must submit their plans by June 26. As the committee continues to investigate this issue, the strategic plans and other documents requested will inform the committee on what additional legislation, if any, needs to be considered to clarify that the NRA does not enable executive branch agencies to focus on voter registration, Steele wrote. Which I completely understand, which I completely get. This is exactly what should be happening. Leave Joe Biden accountable for his own actions and his executive orders. Who's going to say that this is not overstepping your authority as president of America to sign an executive order to mandate that your own government make sure that you have voter turnout for Democrats? It obviously is a partisan policy, but the thing is, the Democrats cannot complain about any partisan policies anymore if they allow this to go ahead and they allow this to continue. Because if Trump was to do an executive order like this, then of course they would freak out. They would say, this is unfair, this is election meddling, this is blah, 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 this is a foreign interference, this is national influence and stuff like that. They would never shut up about it. But then when the Democrats do it themselves, they're like, no, it's fine because it's Democrats helping Democrats. Okay, so you admit as Democrats that this is only a problem if the Republicans do it, and it's not a problem if the Republicans do it. Or vice versa. It's only a problem if Republicans do it and not a problem if Democrats do it, of course. So we do have another article here from the Daily Wire. We have Trump suggests that he added new name to VP contender list. So former President Donald Trump met with Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin for the first time on Thursday and walked away from the meeting, suggesting that the governor is now on a list of candidates that he is considering to be his vice presidential running mate. Now, this would be so funny if he's making this list just because of the fact that he wants to troll us. He's like, yeah, these are the people that we have available that I might pick for VP. And then all of these people that are on the list are all excited. They're tiptoeing around him. They're not attacking him whatsoever. Not that there's anything to attack, but they're staying on his nice side, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden he says, no, and DeSantis is going to be my vice presidential candidate. Okay, but the thing is, he's not on the list. So, of course, that's something that we all want to see. We just want to see Ron DeSantis, or we want to see Vivek Ramaswamy be his VP. We don't want to see anybody else. Those are all lukewarm people. Now, I don't say that these are necessarily bad people that are on his list. Boring people, yeah, I would say for sure. But the thing is, Glenn Youngkin is one of the better governors that we've had on the list. So I would say, yeah, let's bring it on. Let's have Glenn Youngkin going to be on Trump's list. So that would be overall good. I still like DeSantis, and DeSantis would be a great candidate. People are saying Nikki Haley because Nikki Haley is going to get the people that are not really on the left, not really on the right, more center leaning, and then Trump's going to get the people that are on the right. So if you want to gather all of those people, but the thing is, Nikki Haley, I don't think that is going to be the best choice. And Trump already said that he is not planning on actually choosing her to be his vice presidential candidate. So she's off the table entirely. I just think that Ron DeSantis would be the best governor that you could possibly pick, but that's just my opinion. I mean, you look at Florida, look at how Florida turned bright red, and I want to see the governor of Florida next. I believe Ron DeSantis will get out in 2026. So I want to see after 2026 what will happen with the governor chair. Like, who would get in next? Obviously, it's going to be a Republican governor. But I do want to see who will get in next because they need to continue DeSantis's legacy. So with that being said, we do have the final article from the Federalist. We have the quote-unquote far right is surging in Europe because the left's version of quote-unquote democracy has failed. So, democracy is not in danger. It's the left's version of democracy that's threatened as the right is beginning to flex its political muscles. Of course, Democrats want to pass whatever executive orders that they want. They want to do all of the rules and registrations and the laws that they want to do. But as soon as a Republican passes a law, they say, oh, no, this is not good. This is a threat to democracy, even though people voted for that very law. There's people that voted for laws, and then they sue the law that they put in place. Even Florida. Florida took a vote to say, do you think that people under the age of 18 should be going through gender transitioning and surgeries and stuff like that? The voters said no. And then Democrats sue the state and says that's not democratic, or that's not that's a threat to democracy. That's not a threat to democracy if the very people are voting for this very thing. It's called democracy taking place. The very thing that is taking place is democracy in the actual definition of democracy, not this liberal version of democracy. That's exactly the truth here. Democracy to Democrats are not actually democracy. It's not democracy whatsoever. What it actually is liberalism. So when the Democrats don't win, liberalism is under threat. It's not democracy that's under threat. It's liberalism that's under threat. So, due to mounting dissatisfaction with the political establishment throughout the European Union, right-wing parties have made significant gains in recent European Parliament elections. Perhaps most surprisingly, this surge in seats won was fueled not only by the traditional older conservatives, but also by younger voters who have sought to rekindle the spirit of nationalism within their homelands. Before the European Parliament elections, 32% of French 18 to 25-year-olds said that they'd vote for a, quote, far-right National Rally Party, closely reflecting the eventual election outcome. Led by Marine Le Pen, the National Rally Party is on course to win 31.5% of the vote, more than twice the 14.7% projected for the French President Emmanuel Macron's Liberal Resistance Party. Meanwhile, Germany's AfD party secured better than expected results, coming in second in Germany's European Union parliamentary election, winning nearly 16% of the vote. Notably, AfD gained significant ground among younger voters, surging 12 percentage points to 17% among 16 to 24-year-olds. The political earthquake felt in Germany and in France is not isolated. Within those two countries, feelings of Euroscepticism and discounted over immigration are rising all across Europe. While a centrist, meaning leftist, pro-EU majority remains in firm control of the European Parliament, members of the Western ruling class are quickly realizing that the backlash against the globalist agenda put into motion shortly after World War II is escaping leftist commitment and steadily growing. This should surprise no one. We saw this first strong signs of this immune response to globalism in 2016 when Britain voted to leave the European Union, yet ruling class members on both the left and the right within the United Kingdom, did not heed the message their voters sent to the immigration surged. One of the major promises of Brexit was to regain control of England's borders, yet the number of legal arrivals have nearly doubled since Brexit. This surge has fueled a significant rise in anti-immigration protests by individuals desperate to preserve their culture and heritage. As a consequence, the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom, which has been the primary growing party since 2010, is now set for historical losses ahead of the July 4th national elections due to, in part, to its failure to control its borders. Of course, border patrol and border control is the founding factor of a lot of people's minds because of the fact that they don't want to see immigrants come through the borders that are open through multiple countries throughout the world right now and then cause harm, cause distress take up housing, take up government aid and stuff like that from the people that actually are paying taxes. These people, small majority of which, but still, nonetheless, there's a percentage of people that pay taxes, work their butt off, but then they just can't afford housing and food at the end of the day because they're spending it on God knows what, but that's besides the point. Then they go to the housing and there's no room for them because there's illegal immigrants inside of there. That's absolutely not right. And then we see people that are trying to find food and stuff like that, just like how we saw during November when Thanksgiving took place. New York was handing out a bunch of free turkeys, and then all of a sudden, 5 o'clock in the morning, a line formed full of illegal immigrants taking up the food and turkeys and stuff like that from the American citizens. So that's not right whatsoever. And now when you see the government start favoriting these illegal immigrants over its citizens, then you see the citizens start to turn on its very government and try to elect somebody else in because they do not like this as citizens. You're paying for this. And then the illegal immigrants that have nothing to do with this country whatsoever take the stuff that you are going to use. It's disgusting. So with that being said, that's going to do it for this episode of the Demetrius Urijo Show. If you did like this episode and you do want to see more, I do upload new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so make sure to subscribe and turn post notifications on because I do post new episodes of my show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We do post every single day on this channel, different segments, different episodes, so stay tuned for that because during the weekend, we're going to be coming out with a full reaction to Logan Paul's interview on Impulsive with Donald J. Trump, the former president of America, of course, because of the fact that it's very important to see the former president in a context that's not just a debate, but a more interview style. This is exactly what debates should be. It should be like a Joe Rogan style podcast that is set up where we have Joe Biden on one side, Trump on the other side, and then we have two different moderators. We have one moderator that's right wing, one moderator that's left wing, and then they're all battling it out on the table. That's interesting. They're sitting there for 3 hours straight, and they're just debating it out. They have the facts in front of them. They can have a cheat sheet if they really need to, and stuff like that. That's actually what the people want to see. They don't want to see this structured debate where each candidate just gets 30 seconds to a minute to explain exactly what they think. Each candidate has 30-second monologues planned for each question, a 1-minute monologue planned for each question, 2-minute monologue, and a 1 and 30-second monologue for each of the policies that they want to pass. It's disgusting because it's overly planned. You can tell it's not person to person. It's more structured and it's not coming across naturally whatsoever. It's coming across forced, and the American people can see right through this. This is exactly why the debates that the MSN have been posting and have been releasing have not been influencing the elections because of the fact that everybody knows that this is just a planned monologue that's just over-planned, overused, over-prepared for, and stuff like that. It's not good. But a actual debate, which takes place in a Joe Rogan style, is going to be a lot better for the Americans and to actually influence elections in no way, one way or no way the other way. It's just plain neutral. And then you get to decide based on that. The American people would love to see that. I would love to see that. Trump sitting on the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul, he's not really debating anybody, but he's just sitting there for a conversation, is exactly what our candidates should be doing because of the fact that you get to see their policies more and you get to make the right decision in November. These candidates don't want to sit here and have a debate, but they'll release a 1-minute monologue on what their policy is on a certain issue, but not sit there for a 1 to 2 hour podcast and just talk about exactly what they believe in. Vivek Ramaswamy went on the Candace Owens show back when he was running and stuff like that, and was asked a bunch of questions from DC Drano, which is not favorable to Vivek Ramaswamy whatsoever. And that was actually helpful to Vivek Ramaswamy because of the fact that he got to explain his positions in a way that is appropriate for the people that don't believe exactly what he's saying, that don't just take his word for it, but look at things critically. That's the most important thing that people should be doing at the end of the day, looking at things critically and looking at our candidates in a 2-hour to 3-hour podcast form so you know exactly what they're saying and they can't hide anything behind a 1 to 2 minute monologue. They're talking for way more than that. So with that being said, that's never going to happen, at least not in the near future. But I would really like to see this happen because that's a very interesting take. With that being said, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And I hope they have a great rest of your day.